The Cosmic Observers. The Galactic Council had existed for over 8 billion years. Comprised of the 12 most ancient civilizations in the Milky Way, they had long ago transcended the primitive concerns of physical bodies, territorial expansion, and resource competition. The Vox Collective, crystalline entities that communicated through light modulation, had mastered interstellar travel before Earth's sun had even formed. The Meridians, beings of pure energy who existed across multiple dimensions simultaneously, considered the concept of death a quaint evolutionary relic. The Scythian mind, a vast artificial intelligence that had outlived its biological creators, processed more information in a millisecond than humanity's entire digital infrastructure could handle in a century. These ancient powers had appointed themselves the galaxy's shepherds, observing emerging intelligences with the dispassionate curiosity of scientists watching bacteria cultures. They had seen thousands of species rise and fall, cataloging each civilization's growth pattern, technological development, and inevitable collapse or transcendence. Another oxygen-breathing, carbon-based species has achieved rudimentary tool use on the third planet of system, SC 24601, reported Nexus 9. A Scythian mind subnode tasked with monitoring that particular spiral arm of the galaxy. Preliminary analysis suggests standard development trajectory with 89.7% probability of self-extinction before achieving interstellar capability. The Council's attention barely shifted. Such reports came in hourly from across the galaxy. Most emerging species followed predictable paths. They developed agriculture, built increasingly complex societies, discovered atomic energy, and then either destroyed themselves through warfare or environmental collapse, or rarely, matured enough to join the cosmic community. Add them to the observation registry, instructed Lumina, a Meridian elder whose consciousness spanned 3 dimensions. Standard monitoring protocols, low priority. And so Earth and its inhabitants, self-named humans, entered the vast database of potential intelligences, one of thousands given only cursory attention by automated systems and occasional check-ins from board council technicians. The initial assessment was unremarkable. Humans displayed typical territorial aggression, tribal social structures, and the usual biological imperatives that drove most carbon-based life. 2 million years passed, a mere eye blink to the ancient civilizations of the Council. Then something unusual happened. Anomaly detected in system SC 24601, reported Nexus 9. Its communication protocols suddenly elevated to priority status. The carbon-based species has achieved industrialization significantly ahead of projected timelines. This was unusual enough to warrant attention from a full council member. Zixel, an ancient being composed of electromagnetic patterns housed in a crystalline matrix, diverted a fraction of its consciousness to review the data. Interesting. Zixel communicated after processing Earth's entire history in moments. They're advancing technologically at rates that exceed our standard models, yet they retain primitive behavioral patterns, warfare, resource hoarding, tribal conflicts that normally preclude such advancement. The other council members remained unconcerned. Anomalies happened. The universe was vast and random variations were statistically inevitable. Yet Zixel continued watching humanity with growing interest as centuries passed in the blink of a cosmic eye. Humans progressed from steam power to electricity to atomic energy in what amounted to an evolutionary instant. They developed computers, satellite technology, and rudimentary space travel, while still fighting wars over resources and ideologies. By all established models of species development, this combination should have resulted in self-annihilation. Instead, humans continued to advance. I believe a full council review is warranted, Zixel finally announced after humans landed on their moon. This species is demonstrating unprecedented developmental patterns. The council convened its attention. 12 vast consciousnesses focusing on one tiny blue planet in an unremarkable solar system. They observed humans with growing concern as centuries of monitoring data was compiled and analyzed. They've survived 47 near-extinction scenarios, noted Lumina, the energy beings' patterns fluctuating with surprise. Global warfare, nuclear weapons development, biological pandemics, environmental tipping points. Each time models predicted collapse, they adapted and continued advancing. More concerning, added Myriad, a collective consciousness spread across millions of crystalline nodes. They appear to be developing along multiple contradictory paths simultaneously. They create weapons of unprecedented destructive capability while establishing peacekeeping organizations. They poison their environment while developing technologies to repair it. Their societal structures are both cooperative and competitive in ways that should be mutually exclusive. The Syntheum mind processed trillions of simulations in seconds. Standard developmental models fail to predict human behavior with acceptable accuracy. They exhibit what I would term chaos adaptive intelligence. They thrive in conditions that should lead to extinction. For the first time in millions of years, the Council experienced something approaching concern. Species that developed along unpredictable paths posed potential risks to the galactic equilibrium. The Council had encountered such civilizations before, beings that evolved without the standard ethical constraints that came with gradual technological advancement. Those encounters had not ended well. Increased surveillance, ordered Zixel. Full-spectrum monitoring of all human communications, settlement patterns, and technological development. The galaxy's most sophisticated observation systems focused on Earth. Quantum-entangled sensors, capable of monitoring everything from radio transmissions to individual human speech patterns, deployed throughout the solar system. Nanoscale monitoring devices infiltrated human settlements, gathering data on their rapidly evolving technology. Yet even as the Council watched, humans seemed to be looking back. Anomaly detected in monitoring grid Alpha 7 reported a Synthian subnode. Humans have detected gravitational fluctuations from our observation platforms. This was unprecedented. Council technology operated beyond the detection capabilities of even relatively advanced civilizations, utilizing principles of physics most species wouldn't discover for millions of years of development. Impossible, declared Myriad. They lacked the necessary scientific foundation to detect our presence. But the evidence was irrefutable. Human scientists had noticed minuscule gravitational anomalies around their planet, the subtle fingerprints of Council observation technology. What's more, they weren't dismissing these findings as measurement errors or natural phenomena. They were investigating actively, developing new detection methods specifically designed to isolate these anomalies. They're looking for us, Zixel realized with shock reverberating through its crystalline structure. Not just passively wondering about extraterrestrial life. They're actively searching, developing technologies specifically to find evidence of our existence. The Council had never encountered a species that sought contact so aggressively. Most developing civilizations were too consumed with their own planetary concerns to dedicate significant resources to searching for alien intelligence. Humans, despite still struggling with basic planetary governance and environmental stability, were building vast radio telescopes, launching space-based observation platforms, and developing increasingly sophisticated methods to detect signs of extraterrestrial technology. Their entertainment media is particularly disturbing, noted Lumina after analyzing thousands of human films, books, and broadcasts. They seem obsessed with the idea of extraterrestrial contact, and a significant percentage of these narratives involve humans prevailing against technologically superior species. The Synthium mind completed its analysis of human psychology. They exhibit a trait for which we have no precise translation. The closest approximation would be defiant curiosity. They are drawn specifically to investigating what they do not understand, and they respond to threats and challenges by accelerating innovation rather than retreating. As if to confirm this assessment, human scientists began developing experiments specifically designed to detect potential quantum observation techniques. Theoretical technology they shouldn't even be able to conceptualize at their current development stage. They've launched a prototype quantum interference detector, reported a monitoring node. The device is crude, but the underlying principles suggest intuitive leaps that bypass thousands of years of normal scientific development. The Council, for the first time in millions of years, found itself in an unprecedented situation. They were being discovered by a species they considered primitive. Worse, this species was advancing along technological paths specifically designed to detect the Council's presence, driven by a seemingly instinctual determination to find evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. "We need to establish a new protocol," Zixel announced as the Council processed this disturbing reality. "Standard observation methods are compromised. Humans are detecting our presence before they should have the capability to do so." The proposal was radical: to withdraw all advanced observation platforms from Earth's vicinity and implement what would come to be known as the Silence Protocol. The first time in the Council's long history that they would deliberately hide from an emerging species rather than merely watching from their superior technological vantage point. As the last quantum sensors withdrew from Earth's solar system, human scientists noticed something strange. The gravitational anomalies they had been detecting with increasing precision suddenly vanished, as if something that had been watching them had now stepped back into the shadows. The cosmic observers had gone silent. The Silence Protocol. The emergency council session stretched across what humans would measure as 3 Earth weeks, an extraordinarily long deliberation for beings that could normally process galactic-scale decisions in microseconds. The matter of humanity had provoked something approaching genuine discord among the ancient civilizations. "We cannot apply standard protocols to this species," insisted Zixel, whose continued study of humanity had evolved from scientific curiosity to something the humans might recognize as advocacy. "They do not follow established developmental patterns. Precisely why they pose an unacceptable risk," countered Murad, the collective consciousness rippling with concern across its million nodes. "A technologically advanced species that retains primitive aggression and territorial impulses threatens galactic stability." The Cynthium mind presented its analysis with cold precision. Probability modeling indicates humans will achieve faster-than-light communication capability within 150 Earth years and interstellar travel within 300 years. This represents an acceleration of approximately 15,000% compared to standard species development timelines. This projection sent ripples of alarm through the Council. Species normally required millions of years to progress from primitive tool use to interstellar capability. The developmental gap allowed for the gradual shedding of aggressive tendencies and the evolution of cooperative ethics. Humans were advancing technologically while retaining their primitive psychological characteristics, a combination the Council had long considered dangerous. "I propose implementation of Intervention Protocol Omega," suggested Lumina, the energy being's patterns shifting to frequencies associated with alarm. Subtle technological regression to extend their development timeline. The proposal wasn't unprecedented. The Council had occasionally interfered with developing civilizations that showed signs of achieving advanced technology before developing appropriate ethical frameworks. Usually, this meant introducing subtle failures in key technological systems or implanting subconscious aversions to particular scientific paths among influential scientists. Intervention would be detected, Zixel objected. "Their pattern recognition capabilities exceed our models. They would identify external manipulation and respond with accelerated development, specifically targeting the affected technologies." After extensive debate, the Council reached consensus. Direct intervention was too risky, but standard observation could not continue. They would implement the Silence Protocol, a complete withdrawal of all monitoring technology from Earth's detection range, leaving only the most basic long-range observation systems active. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Council would deliberately hide from an emerging species. "Let them develop in isolation," decreed the Council. "When they achieve interstellar capability, we will reassess." The decision made, the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy withdrew from humanity's neighborhood, leaving Earth in what amounted to a surveillance blind spot. The Council expected humans would eventually destroy themselves without guidance, as most aggressive species did. They turned their vast attention to other matters across the cosmos. But humans, as always, defied expectations. Cut off from the subtle quantum influences of Council observation technology, influences that would have gently guided their development along predictable paths, human innovation accelerated even faster. Without realizing it, the Council had been unwittingly suppressing human technological growth through their very act of observation, their monitoring systems exerting subtle quantum pressures that stabilized human development into more predictable patterns. Freed from this invisible constraint, human scientists made breakthrough after breakthrough. Quantum computing, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and nanotechnology advanced at rates that would have horrified the Council had they been monitoring closely. Worse, humans were directing significant portions of this accelerating technology towards space exploration and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. 376 Earth years after the implementation of the Silence Protocol, the long-range monitoring systems detected an anomaly that triggered automatic alerts throughout the Council's communication network. Alert: faster than light energy signature detected in system SC 24601, reported the automated system. The Council's attention snapped back to Earth with shocked disbelief. According to their most aggressive projections, humans shouldn't have achieved FTL technology for at least another 2 centuries. Yet the evidence was unmistakable. A human vessel had just broken the light barrier using a warp field technology the Council recognized as a crude but functional version of their own early FTL systems. How is this possible? Demanded Lumina, energy patterns fluctuating with distress. They've bypassed thousands of years of normal development. The Cynthia mind processed the data. They appear to have reverse-engineered principles of quantum field manipulation from the residual signatures left by our observation technology. In essence, they developed FTL capability by studying the faint remains of our presence. This was unprecedented. No species had ever developed advanced technology by detecting and analyzing the Council's observation methods. It was equivalent to primitive organisms developing microscopes by studying the shadows cast by scientists observing them. But the situation was about to become far more complicated. The human FTL vessel, designated Pathfinder in their communications, wasn't making a simple test flight around their solar system. It was headed directly toward one of the Council's long-abandoned observation outposts in a neighboring star system, a facility that should have been undetectable to human sensors. They've somehow located Outpost Sigma 9. Zixel reported with the equivalent of stunned disbelief. Their trajectory indicates deliberate navigation toward our facility. The Council faced a crisis unlike any in its long history. Direct contact with a species at humanity's developmental stage violated every protocol established over billions of years. Yet the humans had already detected their presence and were actively seeking contact. The carefully maintained cosmic order that had preserved peace among the stars for eons was unraveling. We must establish communication before they reach the outpost, Zixel insisted. Controlled first contact is preferable to allowing them to investigate our technology without context. After the briefest deliberation in Council history, lasting mere seconds, they agreed. A communication probe was dispatched to intercept the human vessel, programmed to establish limited contact and assess humanity's intentions. Aboard the Pathfinder, Captain Alina Chen was reviewing sensor data when the ship's AI announced, "Unknown object approaching, Captain. It's matching our velocity and trajectory." The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as the elegant crystalline probe decelerated alongside their vessel. For humanity's first encounter with extraterrestrial technology, it was remarkably anticlimactic. No weapons were charged, no dramatic maneuvers executed. The probe simply positioned itself alongside the Pathfinder and waited. When the communication arrived, it wasn't through radio waves or any electromagnetic spectrum humans had cataloged. Instead, the ship's quantum communication array, a system designed to eventually allow instantaneous communication across vast distances, activated without human input. A voice spoke in perfect English, though no one had transmitted Earth languages to the stars. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We apologize for the silence. We've been watching you for quite some time." The conversation that followed would reshape humanity's understanding of the cosmos. The Council representatives explained their long observation of Earth, their withdrawal when humans began detecting their presence, and their surprise at humanity's accelerated development. "You must understand," the Council communication explained, "species normally follow predictable developmental patterns. They master planetary resources, gradually shed aggressive tendencies over millions of years, develop space travel, and eventually join the galactic community. Your species has compressed this timeline while retaining characteristics that concern us." Captain Chen's response was characteristically human. "We detected something watching us, so we built better tools to see what was hiding. When you disappeared, we became even more determined to find you. That's who we are. We don't like unanswered questions." The Council representatives conferred among themselves before responding. "This trait you describe, this compulsion to investigate mysteries, specifically because they are mysterious, is exceptionally rare. Most intelligent species avoid the unknown until necessity forces exploration. So that's why you went silent when we started looking for you," Chen realized. "You're afraid of us." The silence that followed confirmed her assessment. The most ancient civilizations in the galaxy, beings that had mastered technologies humans could barely comprehend, had retreated from humanity not out of contempt for their primitive state, but out of genuine concern for what humans might become. "Your species develops technology before developing the wisdom to use it safely," the Council finally admitted. "You create weapons with every breakthrough. You expand rapidly into new territories. You consume resources at unsustainable rates. Yet somehow you survive crises that should cause extinction and emerge stronger. This combination is unprecedented." Chen laughed, a sound that translated poorly through the quantum communication system. "That's the most accurate description of humanity I've ever heard. We're a mess, but we're a determined mess." As the conversation continued, both sides began to understand something profound. Humanity's chaotic nature, their capacity to hold contradictory ideas simultaneously, their ability to cooperate and compete in equal measure, these weren't evolutionary flaws to be overcome. They were adaptations that allowed for unprecedented innovation and resilience. The Council had always believed technological advancement must follow a linear path alongside ethical development. Humans proved this assumption wrong. They developed technologies specifically because they faced challenges, their innovation driven precisely by the crises that should have destroyed them. The cosmos had fallen silent when humans entered the room because, for the first time in billions of years, the ancient civilizations found themselves facing a species they couldn't predict or control, a species whose chaotic nature might actually be their greatest strength. As the Pathfinder prepared to return to Earth with news of the contact, the Council reached a new consensus. The galaxy was about to become a much noisier place, and perhaps after billions of years of careful stability, that wasn't entirely a bad thing.